Welcome, everyone. One of the best ways to prepare for the IELTS speaking test is to see it in action. That's exactly what we're doing today with this complete mock test from Spinta. As you listen, think about what the candidate does well and where they could improve. Afterwards, we'll compare notes with a full performance breakdown. Let's begin.
Good afternoon. Can I have your full name, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Amir Hosseini.
Where are you living now?
I live in Tehran, in the north part of the city. I moved there for work and I enjoy the neighborhood because it's quite green and has good transport links. I've lived there for 3 years and it suits my daily routine well.
Do you work or study at the moment?
I work as a project manager for a small tech firm. My role involves coordinating teams, setting timelines and talking with clients to make sure projects are delivered on time. I find it challenging but very rewarding, because I like organizing things and seeing results.
And do you enjoy your work?
Yes, generally I do. The variety keeps me engaged, and I appreciate the creativity involved. Occasionally the schedule is hectic, but I manage my time carefully, and that makes the stressful periods more bearable.
Let's talk about free time. What do you do to relax?
I usually read and go cycling at the weekend. Reading helps me shift perspective, and cycling clears my mind after a busy week. I prefer non-fiction about history or design, though sometimes I read novels. These activities help me to recharge without feeling rushed.
Why do you like cycling?
Cycling gives me a sense of freedom, and it's good exercise. I enjoy exploring different neighborhoods, and it's an easy way to meet friends casually. Also, it's more eco-friendly than driving, so I feel I'm doing something positive for the environment.
Do you prefer spending free time alone or with others?
I like a balance. Some time alone to read or think is important, but social time with close friends or family is equally valuable. Sharing a meal or a walk can be very restorative, and often sparks ideas that I wouldn't have on my own.
Let's move on to part 2. Here is your topic. Describe a time when you helped someone. You should say when it happened, who you helped, what you did, and explain how you felt about helping.
About a year ago, I helped a new colleague who was struggling with our project management tools. He had just moved from a different industry, and the software seemed overwhelming. I spent 2 afternoons going through the platform step by step, shared some templates and showed him shortcuts to save time. We also reviewed his first task together, and I gave feedback. It felt good to support someone who was clearly anxious at first, and to see his confidence grow quickly. By the end of the week he was independently managing his tasks, and even suggested a small improvement to our workflow, which was gratifying.
Right. Why did you decide to help him?
I thought it would be quicker to show him than let mistakes cascade. Also, teamwork is important to me, and helping was simply practical and humane.
Let's move to part 3. We'll talk about helping and responsibility more generally. Do people in your country often help strangers?
Yes, I think people are generally helpful, especially in small communities or in public transport. You'll often see someone offering directions or helping an elder with shopping. In cities, it's sometimes less frequent because life is busier, but in moments of obvious need, most people will step in.
What motivates people to help others?
Motivations vary. Some people are guided by cultural or religious values that emphasize solidarity. Others act because of empathy. They can imagine themselves in the other person's situation. Practical reasons also exist, such as reciprocity. If you help others, you're more likely to receive help in return when you need it.
Should schools teach children to help others?
Absolutely. Schools are ideal for teaching cooperation and community responsibility. Simple group tasks, volunteering projects and role modeling by teachers can instill these habits early. If children practice helping in school, it becomes a natural part of their behavior later in life.
Do you think technology affects people's willingness to help?
Technology has mixed effects. On one hand, it makes it easier to organize help through apps and social networks. On the other hand, excessive screen time can reduce face-to-face interactions and empathy. so technology can both facilitate and inhibit helping, depending on how it's used.
Can governments encourage citizens to be more helpful?
Yes, governments can create programs that encourage volunteering and community service, fund local initiatives, and highlight civic responsibility through campaigns. Incentives like time off for volunteers or small grants for community projects can make a real difference by lowering barriers to participation.
Finally, is there any difference between helping friends and helping strangers?
There is a psychological difference. Helping friends often involves deeper personal investment and long-term reciprocity, whereas helping strangers can be more situational and immediate. Both are important, but helping strangers may require less personal cost and can still strengthen social bonds overall.
Thank you. That is the end of the speaking test. The candidate demonstrated band 8.5 level performance. Notable grammatical slips included: I have lived there for 3 years, when a more natural phrasing would be, I have lived there for 3 years, or I have been living there for 3 years. And if I would have more time, I would volunteer more, when the correct form is, if I had more time, I would volunteer more. These small errors occurred rarely and did not impede understanding. Fluency was smooth, with minimal hesitation and natural discourse markers. Vocabulary was precise and sophisticated, using phrases like civic responsibility and project management templates accurately. Grammatically, the candidate used complex structures well, with only occasional slips in conditional and temporal expressions which prevented a perfect score. To reach a higher band, the candidate should eliminate those rare structural slips and maintain absolute consistency in tense and conditional forms. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.
The candidate demonstrated band 8.5 level performance. Notable grammatical slips included: I have lived there for 3 years, when a more natural phrasing would be, I have lived there for 3 years, or I have been living there for 3 years. And if I would have more time, I would volunteer more, when the correct form is, if I had more time, I would volunteer more. These small errors occurred rarely and did not impede understanding. Fluency was smooth, with minimal hesitation and natural discourse markers. Vocabulary was precise and sophisticated, using phrases like civic responsibility and project management templates accurately. Grammatically, the candidate handled complex structures and subordinate clauses well, with only occasional slips in conditional and temporal expressions which prevented a perfect score. To reach the next band, the candidate should eliminate those rare structural slips and maintain absolute consistency in tense and conditional forms. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.